Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast. I'm Kara, fundraising coach here at DonorBox. It's so good to have you back with us. And if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. You picked a really good day to listen in. As the scale of the conflict in Ukraine escalates and the horrific realities of life in a war zone unfold, it has been clear that nonprofits play a critical role in our society. I really am awestruck when I see extraordinary trauma. And then I also see people in nonprofits pressing forward, trudging through, collaborating toward good. Inspired by the strength of the Ukrainian people, we can step up, or overwhelmed, we can step out. But in my opinion, this is the time for the nonprofit community to come together to do what we do best, work for the greater good. At DonorBox, we have been working with a number of organizations to support their efforts in any way we can, including sitting down with them to see how we can assist in getting the much-needed funding translated into meaningful deliveries on the ground as fast as possible. Many small to medium-sized nonprofits were able to raise funds and in-kind aid, but found distribution in Ukraine challenging. And then there were other nonprofits that had established relationships with local partners in Ukraine, who despite the onslaught have been effective at delivering critical food and basic necessities to the battered civilians efficiently and swiftly, but they face insurmountable danger. This past week, I connected with Hungry for Life and Nova Ukraine, two nonprofits with established, successful programs and strong local partner networks. Both have been able to quickly pivot and focus immediately on providing emergency aid and refugee support services as the conflict escalates. We sat down with both organizations to find out how they could help each other and how all of us as individuals, volunteers, nonprofits, or donors can support the work they are doing. So let's get to it.
My name is Jeremy. I'm the director of IT here at Hungry for Life. I've been involved in this organization for almost since it started, so about 18 years now. And I've kind of run the gamut of lots of different roles over the years. Led the communication marketing department before this role, which I switched to about 2 years ago now. But our organization partners with groups and community groups, churches, businesses here in Canada, and gets them connected in many different places all around the world. We basically connect leaders here with leaders in developing nations, helping them set up projects, get involved, fundraise for these projects, sending teams on short-term mission projects, all sorts of things like that. So we kind of act as a facilitator between the two and really kind of getting people engaged. We worked in probably 18 different countries over the years, something around there. And Ukraine's been pretty much since the beginning, we've had a focus in Ukraine with a few different groups that have partnered with these different areas in Ukraine. And then jumping off of that, one of our staff members is Ukrainian, her and her husband. So this is Chad and Mary Martz. And about a year ago, they decided for some personal reasons as well as like work reasons to move from Canada, which they'd been living here for a long time, and move back to Ukraine to her home city. And they just had like family there and whatnot. So, and basically to help us run the Ukraine stuff from there, because typically all of our staff are just based out of here in Canada. So when the war broke out, just where they're positioned, they're in Western Ukraine, near the borders of some European countries. And they were well positioned to be able to help kind of immediately. So that started with our different partners that are all across Ukraine started fleeing westwards towards them, and they were able to help them. And really any refugees that were coming their way, they set up a network with churches in their area with contacts that they knew, just to be able to house people and provide food and whatnot. And from there, it ballooned into not just helping people coming westwards, but also to get aid into the central and eastern parts of the country. And so over the last 3 weeks or so, I've been able to secure 2 different warehouses where they store all this food and supplies, vehicles and drivers willing to risk their lives to drive into the conflict zones to deliver this, the food. And it's amazing just this Like literally, it was just kind of the two of them plus her immediate family, but her immediate family is well connected, and so that ballooned pretty quickly to be able to help many people. And because of all this, it got quite a lot of media attention here in Canada and even into the States a little bit. And so that just was able to kind of compound on itself and raise a lot of money. Like we've raised over $1.5 million in the last month, which for us, like we're a relatively small organization. So for us, that's huge. And over 830,000 has come through our website of that, through DonorBox, through you guys. So yeah, it's been quite the ride the last month here, and lots of challenges still. Like now we're starting to see donor fatigue a little bit and less people donating, and so that's kind of our next hurdle, I think. Okay. But anyway, there's the short end of a little bit about us.
That is amazing. You are really boots on the ground, and oh my goodness, that your staff are there in person being able to facilitate your work is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yulia, would you share a little bit? Your organization is not quite as old as Hungry for Life, but you've been fast and furious in your efforts since you've been founded. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do and what, I love that Jeremy shared some of his fundraising, what he's seen as far as fundraising right now. I'd love to know what you're seeing too.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. And I apologize. I am behind the wheel. There's like every Ukrainian is multitasking and just life is on the go. And I was hoping Eli can join from us today because he's running our DonorBox. But I have been in California since 2007, and my mission has always been cultural diplomacy for Ukraine. Nova Ukraine was founded in 2014. I'm one of the co-founders. It was founded on the heels of Revolution of Dignity. We knew immediately, with Crimea annexation and the start of the war in eastern Ukraine, this conflict is here to stay as long as Putin is in power, and we need to give a platform for in the United States for Ukraine and for Ukrainians in the United States. And we are very grateful to us back then, because now, since the full invasion, we started our fundraising efforts around February 20th, even before February 24th, because we saw the news about, military buildup. So we knew humanitarian crisis is coming. Before this, our fundraising annual amounts were around 350. So, it resonates with Jeremy, us being still small. Guys, we raised 14 million since February 20th.
Wow. Amazing.
14 million, 7 million already made it to Ukraine in different forms of humanitarian aid, emergency aid, with large focus on medical supplies, because, medical supplies is something that's really quickly becoming a critical need. It's low in stock or absent in Europe. So we were here in the United States, we're focusing on securing those, negotiating with large medical companies, accepting bulk donations. And just this Monday, I flew to Seattle, and we've overseen, together with Ukrainian students of Stanford, with Ukrainian communities of Washington State and Oregon, we managed to send the plane the full cargo, 32 tons of medical supplies, equipment, first aid kits to Ukraine. And this is where we want to focus in the United States, outside of raising awareness, talking to media. We've been accumulating informational resources for refugees in Ukraine, just because there's so much out there created daily for housing, shelter, food, medical care. So that's what we're doing in the United States. In Ukraine, we're active in 19 regions. We have volunteers, individual organizations active in 19 regions of Ukraine. Some of the regions and some of the towns are under siege, so we can no longer deliver safely, like Mariupol and Chernihiv. However, we're super active in area of Dnipro, Kyiv, Mykolaiv, Odessa. That's the cities where active fighting is taking place, or they're accepting a lot of, cargo in a safe zone, and then from there it's making it to more active zones. So basically, Nova Ukraine work right now is split between work in Ukraine and work in the United States.
Brilliant. Both of you, as you were telling your stories, your faces, I just registered the passion that you felt for your organizations and what's going on right now.
Inspired by our guest? When your supporters feel the same way about your mission, put the power of speedy giving in their hands. DonorBox Text to Give is super easy to set up and lets your supporters give by sending a simple text message from their smartphones. One setup, no forms, no fuss. Ideal for on-the-spot donation drives, church services and conferences, or hassle-free repeat donations. Let the moment move you. DonorBox, helping you help others.
It's impossible to spend time with people as committed as Jeremy and Yulia and not hear the exhaustion in their voices. But they are not stopping. They may pause for breath, but the work of both Hungry for Life and Nova Ukraine will be ongoing at this hectic pace for months to come. So finding out what they need to keep going was paramount.
I think, Jeremy hit the point of definitely the way media works always in news cycles, and, as much I condemn Will Smith slapping, at Oscars, like there's just more urgent things in the world, and it's our job to continue finding the ways to bring attention to Ukraine being an active war zone as long as it's taking place. And it's really hard, guys. It's like everyone is getting mentally, in terms of challenges. I'm not sure about your organization, Jeremy, but we are all pretty much volunteers, run. So people have to maintain their regular lives, getting enough sleep, getting enough food, maintaining their day jobs, personal lives, and just dealing with war zone tasks, right? I mean, like what we do is saving lives every day, basically, both the organization and ours. So, the responsibility is great, but it's also taking a lot of mental resources, a lot of physical resources. And I think one of the challenges right now is, first of all, finding the ways to keep going, finding support from outside for volunteers to join the organization. Monetary donations to organizations like ours remain just more immediate way to help, is because we have the ways to get this money in the form of emergency aid to Ukraine almost immediately. I mean, we are very transparent with our reporting, and you see how much millions of dollars we already made it to Ukraine, and that's with all the validations in place. We have medical teams that's validating the medical needs with the Ministry of Health of Ukraine. We have logistical team that has that works on the ground in the United States, and then it passes the tasks to logistic team that's working with Ukrainian partners. We've been existing for 8 years, so we have a network of trusted partners. So I think when you deal with war, it's kind of the challenges and the task at hand right now is to do everything we can at the end of the day to save as many lives as possible. And that comes through continuously fundraising, raising awareness, processing these donations in the form of aid, validating with our partners on the ground what is the critical needs. And this has been medical supplies, bulk non-perishable food, surgical equipment, transportation, and continuously working to raise awareness and to establish partnerships in medical donations field. Also partnerships like, for example, Nova Ukraine partnered with Airbnb.org, and we are helping Airbnb.org to provide leads to match Airbnb vouchers for free short-term stays with Ukrainian refugees. The program is just a week old. We already helped more than 1,000 families to find temporary housing. So I think that's what we're seeing at this moment on our side. I'll pass it to Jeremy.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and we're in a very similar boat in terms of like the kind of the realities we're facing. Like I said earlier, kind of donor fatigue. So I think reaching new people for donations and keeping it in the forefront of even everyone's minds. is super important for us. And we also have like boots on the ground. Like I was saying, like we have this network of trusted partners that we're able to get the aid there too. So for us, it is kind of the money and fundraising efforts are kind of pretty critical. And then we're also kind of looking at, okay, well, there are some organizations that aren't like they're able to raise a ton of money and whatnot, but maybe aren't able to get the aid into the country for some reason or another. And so we're looking at partnering with other organizations to see if there's ways that we can help them kind of in a dual partnership way through our network. So yeah, it's a tough one. And then like the reality is that it's been over a month now, and people are even just the workers on the front lines obviously are impacted so much that it's so taxing on them. So we had 2 other staff members fly out last week to kind of just relieve our 2 main staff members for a little bit to help with the load and all that sort of stuff. And even like we were hearing back from the drivers who are delivering the stuff all the time. And it was nice for them to have a break this last couple of days. Things slowed down a little bit, which was not good in one sense because we weren't delivering as much, but in the same sense, they were able to recharge their batteries a little bit. So it's like I've never been in our organization's never been a first wave responder. So this is kind of a new thing for us. And it's unimaginable what people are going through, but we're just trying our best to help in any way we can. So, yeah.
I'm going to take off my professional hat for a moment and acknowledge the horror we all feel at the atrocities taking place, and recognize how helpless many of us feel in the face of the overwhelming level of need this conflict has created. But when I hear what both these organizations have been able to do in such a short amount of time, I'm strengthened by the fact there's an opportunity here for all of us to contribute. If you can't donate money, you can donate time. Volunteers are needed here and in Ukraine and all over the world. Awareness and fundraising are what we as a community do. So if you're able to assist, please follow the links provided in the podcast notes. Reach out, donate, volunteer, hand out a flyer, attend an event. If you are a nonprofit that has raised funds and is facing problems distributing them in the conflict zone, reach out to an organization who is doing this well. Make those funds and aid work for the people who need it more than ever. The Nonprofit Podcast is all about keeping the impact of our work front of mind. So I'll be talking to Jeremy and his colleague Chad from Hungry for Life from Ukraine in the next week to find out more about the life-saving work they are doing. And we will be catching up with Yulia and Nova Ukraine for a deeper discussion on how they have been able to shift gears and create a distribution network that continues to be the sole lifeline for thousands of individuals. To make sure you don't miss it, follow, rate, and download the Nonprofit Podcast today, and be sure to join us next week.
The Nonprofit Podcast, powered by DonorBox, helping you help others.